The massive window of the Star Seeker space station offered a breathtaking view of the galaxy, but Captain Tom wasn't looking at the stars. His attention was fixed on the group of alien diplomats who were pressed against the far wall of the conference room, as far away from him as possible. "Please, I assure you I'm perfectly safe to be around," Tom said, trying to keep his voice gentle. The environmental suit he wore was mainly for their comfort. He could breathe the station's thin atmosphere just fine, though it felt like being on a mountaintop. The tallest alien, a being with silvery skin who called himself First Speaker, raised all four of his hands in a gesture of peace. "We mean no disrespect, human Tom, but your species, your world. Our scientists can barely believe the readings." Tom nodded patiently. He'd been warned about this reaction during his diplomatic training. To most galactic species, Earth was a nightmare, a death trap, a world that should never have produced intelligent life. The First Speaker activated a holographic display in the center of the room. An image of Earth appeared, beautiful and blue. "Your gravity alone would crush most species. Your oxygen levels are incredibly toxic. The temperature swings from freezing to boiling within a single planetary rotation. And the pressure. The alien shuddered, his silvery skin rippling with what Tom assumed was fear. Another alien, smaller with a green tint to their skin, stepped forward cautiously. "We lost 3 research probes just attempting to land on your world. They were crushed, corroded, and frozen in sequence. How do you survive?" Tom couldn't help but smile. "That's just home for us. We evolved there. Our bodies are built for it." The aliens exchanged worried looks. The First Speaker's translator chip made a strange sound as it processed his next words. "We have calculated that a single human, if transported to most civilized worlds in our galaxy, would be strong enough to lift a transport vehicle with their bare hands. Your bones are dense enough to shatter our strongest materials. Your lungs process toxins that would kill an entire colony of our people." "We're not monsters," Tom said quickly, seeing their fear. "We're just adapted to different conditions." The green alien was busy taking readings with some sort of device. "Your muscles must constantly fight against crushing gravity. Your immune system defeats microscopic killers every moment. Your skin resists radiation that would cook our species. You are terrifying." Tom remembered his mission briefing. This first contact was crucial. Humanity needed allies, not enemies afraid of their very existence. He took a careful step forward, moving slowly to avoid startling them. "Think of it this way," he suggested. "We could be your strongest allies. There are places in this galaxy we could explore that your people never could. Problems we could help solve. Dangers we could face that would kill others." The First Speaker's posture changed slightly, showing what Tom's cultural training suggested was interest. "You would help us. Of course. That's why we're here. To join the galactic community. To share knowledge. To help each other." Tom spread his hands. "Yes, we're tough. Yes, we're strong. But we're also curious, friendly, and eager to learn about other cultures." The aliens huddled together, speaking in their native language that the translators couldn't quite catch. Finally, the First Speaker turned back to Tom. "We accept your offer of friendship, human Tom, but we must establish strict protocols. No human may visit our worlds without proper containment suits. All meetings must be held in specially reinforced facilities, and we must study your biology to understand how to safely interact." Tom smiled. It was a start. "Agreed. And in return, we'll help you explore the parts of space you never could before. The places that, to us, feel just like home." As the aliens began drafting the formal agreement, Tom looked back out at the stars. Humanity had worried for so long about being the weakest species in space. How ironic that instead they were feared for being too strong, too tough, too resilient. Earth wasn't a death world. It was a forge, and humanity was its finest creation. The massive research facility on Station Alpha hummed with activity as lead scientist Gray adjusted the environmental controls one more time. His purple skin glowed with excitement under the artificial lights as he prepared for another test. Behind the thick observation window, other scientists watched nervously. Recording test number 47, Gray spoke into his data recorder, attempting to recreate Earth conditions at 25% intensity. The test chamber was their most advanced creation yet. It had taken 3 months to build it using materials that could withstand Earth-like gravity and atmosphere. Inside, a small robot placed their latest test subject, a carefully engineered plant from their most resilient species. Beginning gravity increase, Gray announced. The numbers on his screen began to rise. Adding oxygen content to match Earth levels, increasing atmospheric pressure. Through the window, they watched as the plant began to bend under the growing gravity. Its leaves started to curl as the oxygen-rich atmosphere filled the chamber. Within 2 minutes, the plant stem snapped under its own weight. Within 5 minutes, the leaves had started to dissolve from oxygen exposure. Another failure, Gray noted, his skin darkening with frustration. End test. Record results. The door behind him opened, and first speaker entered the lab. Any progress? Gray turned to face his superior. None. We can't even keep simple plants alive in Earth conditions, let alone anything more complex. Even at quarter strength, the environment is lethal. First speaker moved to the window, staring at the ruined plant. And humans live in these conditions naturally, without any protection. Not only live, they thrive, Gray said, pulling up a holographic display. Look at this footage from their world. The display showed humans running in open fields, swimming in oceans, climbing mountains. Children played under the crushing gravity, breathing the toxic air like it was nothing. Plants and animals flourished in conditions that had just destroyed their toughest engineered specimen. How is this possible? First speaker wondered aloud. That's what we're trying to understand, Gray replied. He moved to another screen showing human biological data. Their cellular structure is fascinating. Their bones are like steel compared to ours. Their muscles are constantly working against gravity that would flatten us. Even their blood carries oxygen that would poison our entire species. A junior scientist rushed into the lab, their blue skin practically glowing with excitement. Lead scientist, the human diplomat is here for the scheduled visit. Moments later, Tom walked into the lab, wearing his containment suit. The aliens had insisted on it, even though he had explained it wasn't necessary. He looked at the dead plant in the test chamber and then at the readings on the screen. Still trying to recreate Earth conditions, he asked. Gray's skin rippled with scientific curiosity. Yes, we've had 47 failures so far. Everything dies within minutes. Tom walked closer to the chamber, studying it. Have you considered that you're missing something? Earth isn't just about gravity and oxygen. There's also the bacteria, the viruses, the constant radiation from our sun, the temperature changes. Gray's recording device whirred as it captured every word. You mean, all of these conditions exist together, constantly? Of course, Tom said. Life on Earth evolved to handle everything at once. It's not just about surviving one thing. It's about thriving in all of them together. The aliens in the room stared at him in stunned silence. First speaker was the first to speak. Your species evolved under all these conditions, simultaneously. Tom nodded. For millions of years, each generation getting a little tougher, a little more resistant. Natural selection at its finest. Gray looked at his failed experiment with new understanding. We've been testing these conditions separately, or in simple combinations, but it's the whole package that made you what you are. Earth isn't just a deadly world, Tom said, watching as they documented his every word. It's a training ground. Everything that could kill you either makes you stronger or removes you from the gene pool. We're not just surviving Earth's conditions, we're made from them. As the aliens frantically recorded this new perspective, Tom smiled inside his suit. Sometimes the greatest strength comes not from avoiding harsh conditions, but from embracing them. Earth had taught humanity that lesson over millions of years, and now the galaxy was learning it too. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 100 worlds gathered for an emergency session. The massive chamber, designed to accommodate beings of all sizes and atmospheric needs, had been divided into separate sections by force fields. No one wanted to risk direct contact with the human delegates. Maria stood calmly at the speaker's platform, her containment suit gleaming under the lights. As Earth's chief scientist, she had been sent to address the growing concerns about human interaction with other species. The council leader, a tall being made mostly of light and energy, spoke first. "We have gathered today to discuss the threat level classification of Earth and its inhabitants." Maria kept her voice steady. "With all due respect, we are not a threat." Voices rose from all corners of the chamber. A reptilian delegate hissed, "3 maintenance workers died last week when their ship's life support system accidentally switched to Earth normal conditions for just 10 minutes. A tragic accident," Maria agreed. "But that's why we provided safety protocols." 2 days ago, another delegate interrupted. A human child visiting Station Beta accidentally broke through a reinforced wall while playing. The wall was rated to stop a military transport. Maria sighed. They had warned the station designers about that. "We're still learning to adjust our strength in different gravity conditions." The council leader raised a glowing appendage for silence. "We have reviewed all data. Earth's classification as a death world is not in question. What we must decide is how to handle its inhabitants." Holograms appeared around the chamber, showing footage from Earth. Humans running through rainstorms, swimming in acid oceans, breathing toxic air, surviving temperature swings that would kill most species instantly. Several delegates turned away, unable to watch. "Look at them," a crystalline being chimed. "They treat these lethal conditions like nothing. Their children play in crushing gravity. They sleep through radiation storms." Maria tried again. "That's exactly why we can be valuable allies. We can help explore worlds you can't visit. We can handle emergency situations that would kill others. We can." "We have made our decision," the council leader announced. "Earth is hereby classified as a Level 10 hazard zone. All non-human ships are forbidden from approaching within 1 light year without special clearance. All human visitors to other worlds must wear approved containment suits at all times." The chamber erupted in agreement. Maria noticed how they all stayed well back from her platform, even with her suit on. But the council leader wasn't finished. "However, we also recognize the potential benefits of human assistance in extreme conditions. Therefore, we will establish special training facilities. Humans may help us explore deadly worlds, but under strict supervision." A small winged delegate fluttered nervously. "What about the human ships? They carry Earth conditions with them, wherever they go." "All human vessels must now broadcast warning signals," the council leader declared. "Any ship approaching a human vessel must acknowledge the Death World warnings 3 times before docking is permitted." Maria wanted to argue, but she knew this was actually a victory. They weren't being banned from space. They were being feared, yes, but also respected. Feared respect was better than no respect at all. "We accept these terms," she said. "But remember, what you call deadly, we call home. We don't want to frighten anyone. We just want to help." As she left the chamber, Maria noticed how quickly the other delegates moved away from her path. Through her suit's sensors, she could smell their fear pheromones, hear their warning calls to each other. Back on her ship, Maria removed her suit and took a deep breath of lovely, toxic Earth normal air. The warning buoys were already being deployed around their solar system. "Danger. Death world ahead. Approach at your own risk. Earth conditions lethal to all known life." She smiled. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they weren't alone. They were just tougher than everyone else. Sometimes, being the monster wasn't such a bad thing. especially when that monster came in peace. The emergency alarm blared through Research Station Omega, its lights flashing an urgent purple that meant extreme danger. Lead Scientist Gray rushed through the corridors, his skin almost white with fear. Behind him, First Speaker struggled to keep up. "How bad is it?" First Speaker asked. "Worse than anything we imagined," Gray replied, his voice shaking. "The Red Star Empire. They stole our research data on Earth conditions. They're trying to weaponize it." They reached the main control room, where dozens of screens showed the unfolding disaster. The Red Star Empire, known for their aggressive expansion, had built massive generators on their border worlds. These machines were designed to create Earth-like conditions as a defensive weapon. "They're insane," First Speaker whispered, watching the footage. "Don't they understand? Nobody can control those conditions." On the largest screen, they watched as one of the generators activated. The gravity increased to Earth normal levels. The atmosphere filled with oxygen. The temperature began to fluctuate wildly. The Red Star scientists, confident in their protective suits, stood proudly by their creation. Then everything went wrong. The gravity increased beyond their calculations, crushing their equipment. The oxygen levels rose too high, corroding their protective suits. The temperature swings grew more extreme than they had planned. Within minutes, the entire facility was destroyed, taking its creators with it. "Send an emergency signal to the human embassy," First Speaker ordered. "We need their help." An hour later, a human emergency team arrived in their ship. Their leader, Captain Rick, listened to the situation without showing any fear. To him, the deadly conditions were just like a normal day on Earth. "The generator is still running," Gray explained. "It's creating a bubble of Earth-like conditions that's growing larger every hour. 3 nearby cities have already been evacuated. Nothing can survive in that zone." Rick nodded. "For you, maybe. For us, it sounds like home. Show us where we need to go." The humans suited up, not in protective gear, but in simple work clothes. Where they were going, Earth conditions would be the least of their problems. They had to shut down a malfunctioning generator before its deadly bubble of normal Earth conditions spread further. "Remember," Gray warned them, "the conditions in there are exactly like your home world." Rick actually smiled. "Then we shouldn't have any problems." The human team entered the containment zone. Through the monitoring cameras, Gray and First Speaker watched in amazement. The humans walked easily under the crushing gravity. They breathed the toxic oxygen without trouble. They barely noticed the temperature swings that would have killed any other species instantly. "Look at them," First Speaker said quietly. "They're not even struggling. They're just walking around like it's nothing." The humans reached the generator complex. The roads had buckled under the high gravity. The buildings were corroding in the oxygen-rich air, but the humans simply walked through it all, as casual as if they were taking a stroll in a park. Rick's voice came over the comm. "We've reached the main controls. This design is actually pretty clever, but they made one big mistake. They tried to replicate Earth conditions without understanding them. Earth isn't just about gravity and oxygen and temperature. It's about balance." Working quickly, the human team shut down the generator. The deadly bubble of Earth normal conditions began to fade, allowing the local species to return to their homes. Later, in the emergency meeting room, First Speaker addressed the human team. "You've saved countless lives today. But this incident proves how dangerous Earth conditions can be in the wrong hands." Rick shrugged. "Earth conditions aren't a weapon. They're just conditions. Like any other force of nature, they can't really be controlled. They can only be respected." As the humans left, Gray updated his research notes. Earth conditions remain impossible to artificially replicate. Perhaps this is for the best. Some things in the galaxy should remain unique, like Earth and the incredible species it created. Scientist Blue stared at his research screen for the 100th time, his skin shifting to a deep shade of concentration. The laboratory around him was quiet, Most other researchers had given up trying to understand Earth's deadly nature. But Blue knew he was close to a breakthrough. "Computer, show me the combined data from all failed Earth simulation attempts," he commanded. The holographic display filled with information from hundreds of experiments. Each one had tried to recreate Earth conditions. Each one had failed. But as Blue looked at them together, he began to see a pattern. "Cross-reference all successful life forms from death worlds across the galaxy," he said next. The computer added new data to the display. Blue's skin rippled with excitement as the picture became clearer. The door opened, and Lid Scientist Gray entered. "Still working. It's been 3 days." Blue didn't look away from his screens. "I think I've found it. The answer we've been missing all along." "Missing what?" Gray moved closer, curious despite his exhaustion with Earth-related research. "Why we can't recreate Earth conditions. Why humans are so different. Why everything we try fails." Blue's fingers flew over the controls, bringing up new images. "Look at this." The display showed Earth, but broken down into layers. Atmosphere, gravity, magnetic fields, radiation, microorganisms, temperature variations, all working together in perfect harmony. "I don't understand," Gray admitted. Blue's skin glowed with enthusiasm. "We've been thinking about Earth's deadly nature all wrong. We thought it was about individual conditions, the gravity, the oxygen, the pressure. But it's not. It's about how everything works together." He brought up footage of a human child playing in a park. "Look, that child is simultaneously fighting crushing gravity, processing toxic oxygen, resisting harmful radiation, dealing with extreme temperature changes, and fighting off millions of microscopic organisms, all at once, all the time." Gray's skin paled. "That's impossible." "Not impossible. Just incredibly complex." Blue showed more data. Earth life didn't evolve to handle each condition separately. It evolved to handle everything together. It's a complete system. Take one part away, and it doesn't work right. He demonstrated by showing failed experiments. "See, when we try to recreate just the gravity, or just the atmosphere, we get it wrong. Because on Earth, everything is connected. The gravity affects the atmosphere. The atmosphere protects from radiation. The radiation influences evolution. The microorganisms shape the environment. It's all one big, deadly, perfect system." Gray stared at the display in wonder. "And humans. Humans are the ultimate product of this system," Blue finished. "They're not just tough. They're not just resistant. They're the end result of millions of years of evolution in a perfectly balanced death world." He brought up new calculations. "Think about it. Their bones are strong because of the gravity, yes. But that same gravity shaped their muscles, which need the oxygen their lungs evolved to process, which is protected by their strong skin that evolved to handle radiation, which is supported by their immune system that evolved to fight the microorganisms. So we can never recreate Earth conditions," Gray realized. "Never," Blue agreed, "because Earth isn't just a set of conditions. It's a living system that took billions of years to develop. We can copy parts of it, but never the whole thing." He saved his findings and stood up for the first time in days. "But now we understand. Humans aren't just tough because of any one thing. They're tough because everything on their world tried to kill them, all at once, for millions of years. And instead of dying, they thrived." Gray's skin showed patterns of deep thought. "This changes everything we thought we knew about evolution and habitat development." "Yes," Blue said, looking at the image of Earth spinning slowly in the hologram. "And it means we need to stop thinking of Earth as a death world. It's not. It's a crucible, a place where the impossible becomes possible, simply because there's no other choice." The two scientists stood in silence, watching the hologram of the blue planet that had created the galaxy's most remarkable species. Sometimes understanding didn't make something less frightening. It just made it more amazing. The Dominion War fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system without warning. 500 massive ships, each carrying thousands of soldiers, moved steadily toward the blue planet. Their leader, War Commander Red, stood on his bridge with complete confidence. "The humans have denied us their strength for too long," he announced to his fleet. "Today we take their world for ourselves. Our new protective suits will allow us to conquer Earth and harness its power." The human defense fleet was tiny in comparison, just 50 ships. But they didn't seem worried. Captain Rick's voice came over the communication channel, sounding almost casual. "This is your only warning," he said. "Earth's conditions are lethal to your species. Your suits won't protect you. Turn back now." War Commander Red laughed. "Our scientists have spent years studying your world. Our suits are perfect. Your warning is nothing but fear." The Dominion fleet pushed forward. Earth's defense ships pulled back, not even trying to fight. This made Red even more confident. "See, they run from our power." The first wave of invasion ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Red watched from orbit, expecting to see his troops landing triumphantly on the surface. Instead, alarms began blaring across every ship. "Commander," his science officer shouted, "the gravity. It's crushing our landing gear. Adjust the suits." Red ordered, but it was too late. The invasion ships that managed to land crumpled under Earth's gravity. The troops that made it out of their ships discovered their suits couldn't handle the combination of pressure, oxygen, and temperature. Some suits cracked, others melted. Many just stopped working. Impossible. Red watched in horror as the second wave of ships tried to land. "Our calculations were perfect." On a secure channel, lead scientist Gray contacted the human defense fleet. "What's happening down there?" Captain Rick's voice was calm. "Exactly what we warned them about. Their suits protect against gravity, or oxygen, or pressure. But not all at once. Not along with the radiation, the bacteria, the temperature changes." The view screens showed the disaster unfolding. Dominion troops were dying by the thousands, not from human weapons, but from Earth itself. Their suits fell apart. Their ships sank into the ground under the crushing gravity. The very air corroded their equipment. "Pull back," Red finally ordered. "Full retreat." But many ships were already too damaged to escape Earth's gravity. Their engines failed under the strain. Their hulls buckled under pressures they weren't designed to handle. From his ship, Rick watched the Dominion fleet falling apart. "We tried to warn them. Earth isn't just a planet. It's a complete system. You can't just protect against one or two things. It's all or nothing." The retreat turned into a panic. Ships crashed into each other trying to escape. The few invasion forces that made it back to their ships were already dying from exposure to Earth's conditions. In the end, over half the Dominion fleet was destroyed, not by weapons, not by human soldiers, simply by trying to exist in Earth's normal conditions. Later, in an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council, War Commander Red faced punishment for his failed invasion. "We thought we understood," he admitted, his pride broken. "We thought we could conquer Earth's power, but you can't conquer nature. The humans don't control their world's deadly conditions. They've just learned to live with them." The council leader turned to Captain Rick. "Your defense of Earth was impressive." Rick shrugged. "We didn't defend anything. We just let them find out for themselves what we've been saying all along. Earth isn't a weapon. It's not a tool. It's our home. And if you're not evolved to live there, it will kill you before you can even try to fight." As the Dominion ships limped home, a new message was added to the warning buoys around Earth. "This is not a challenge. This is not a test. Earth conditions are lethal. Any attempt to survive them without millions of years of evolution will result in death. This is not a threat. It is simply a fact." 10 years after the failed Dominion invasion, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. The force fields separating species were gone. A human, Maria, stood comfortably among alien delegates, her containment suit replaced by a simple environmental badge that warned others about her Earth-normal conditions. "The results are clear," she announced to the assembled representatives. "In the past decade, human exploration teams have successfully mapped 30 death worlds that no other species could reach. We've established mining operations in crushing gravity zones and research stations in toxic atmospheres." The council leader's glowing form pulsed with approval. "And the emergency response statistics." Maria displayed the numbers proudly. "Human crisis teams have saved over 2 million lives. We can reach disasters in lethal conditions that would kill any other rescue workers. What you once feared as a weakness has become our greatest strength." Scientist Blue, now elevated to lead researcher of xenobiology, stepped forward. His skin showed patterns of excitement as he spoke. "We've learned so much by studying how humans adapt. Their natural resistance to extreme conditions has helped us develop better protective equipment for all species." The screens around the chamber showed humans working across the galaxy. They handled radioactive materials with bare hands. They walked through toxic storms to rescue stranded ships. They carried heavy equipment under crushing gravity to build new colonies. "But most importantly," Maria continued, "we've learned to stop seeing differences as threats. Earth isn't a death world. It's just different, and those differences made us who we are." First speaker, now aged but still active in diplomacy, addressed the council. "When we first met humans, we thought they were monsters. Invincible creatures who could survive anything. We were wrong. They're not invincible. They're just well adapted. Like all of us, they're simply a product of their world." On the main screen, images of Earth played. Children playing in parks, farmers tending fields, cities bustling with life. To any other species, these simple scenes showed impossible things, beings thriving in conditions that should kill them instantly. "We've established new protocols," Maria explained. "All human ships now carry multi-environment chambers. We can host any species safely while still maintaining our own comfortable conditions. Our colonies on other worlds have special Earth condition zones, completely sealed from local environments." "And the military applications?" someone asked nervously. Maria smiled. "Are unnecessary. We don't need to weaponize Earth conditions. We don't need to fight. We're explorers, builders, rescuers. The very things that make us dangerous also make us helpful." The council leader raised all appendages in a gesture of unity. "Let this mark a new chapter in galactic history. Earth is no longer classified as a death world. It is now designated as a Class X life world. Unique, dangerous to most species, but vital to our community." The chamber erupted in approval. Even species that once feared human contact now worked closely with them, each handling the environments they were best suited for. After the session, Maria stood at a viewing window, looking out at the galaxy. Blue joined her, his skin showing curious patterns. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" he asked. "When we first met, everyone was terrified of humans." Maria shook her head. "Fear comes from not understanding. Once you understand something, it stops being scary and starts being fascinating." Below them, a human emergency team was boarding a ship, ready to rescue aliens trapped in conditions that would kill any other rescuers. In another dock, human engineers were building structures that could withstand crushing gravity. Everywhere, the things that once made humans feared now made them valued. "We're not Earth's monsters," Maria said quietly. "We're its children. And now we can help others survive the things that made us strong." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. What kills one species makes another stronger. Earth wasn't a death world. It was a reminder that life finds a way, no matter how harsh the conditions. And sometimes, the harshest conditions create the strongest allies.